July is a busy month on the diplomatic calendar. It's around the middle of the year. Most multilateral groups are busy organizing summits, and this July is no different. Kicking us off is the BRICS bloc. Yesterday, the BRICS leaders gathered in Rio de Janeiro. It was the 17th summit of this grouping. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was also in attendance. He is on a marathon 8-day foreign trip. Yesterday, the Indian Prime Minister took part in multiple sessions on security, on reforms and on financial challenges. Prime Minister Modi always plays an important role at BRICS. But this year, he had added responsibility because two main members were not in attendance this time. President Vladimir Putin of Russia and President Xi Jinping of China. They were not at the summit. So the job of setting the tempo fell upon Prime Minister Modi. He addressed a wide range of issues. And we'll focus on the top 5 takeaways tonight. Number 1, Prime Minister Modi called out terrorism in his remarks. He did not name Pakistan, but the message was clear. Let me quote from what he said. Condemning terrorism must be a matter of principle and not just of convenience. If our response depends on where or against whom the attack occurred, it shall be a betrayal of humanity itself. There must be no hesitation in imposing sanctions on terrorists. The victims and supporters of terrorism cannot be treated equally. That's a clear message to BRICS. Most of the members condemned the Pahalgam attack. Yesterday's joint statement also reiterated that condemnation, but none of them called out Pakistan. You see, Islamabad has been trying to join the BRICS. They also have close ties with a BRICS founder, China. So most members are soft on Pakistan, but Prime Minister Modi is cautioning against that. He says terrorism must be handled on principle, not convenience. That's the first big takeaway. Takeaway number 2. The Indian Prime Minister spoke about critical minerals. Again, let me quote from what he said. We need to work together to make supply chains for critical minerals and technology secure and reliable. It's important to ensure that no country uses these resources for its own selfish gain or as a weapon against others. This could be a jibe at China. Recently, Beijing started blocking key exports to India. They've been blocking exports like rare earths and fertilizers, and this has led to complaints and worries in certain industries in India. So Prime Minister Modi has served China a reminder: do not weaponize critical minerals. Next is takeaway number 3. The Prime Minister talked about championing the global South, and for that he demanded reforms. I'm quoting again, 2/3 of humanity still lack proper representation in global institutions built in the 20th century. There must be changes in governance structures, voting rights and leadership positions. To put that in context, the 20th century agencies are the likes of the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. These were created by and dominated by the West. Prime Minister Modi is seeking reform. He wants the global South to be at the table, whether it's a bigger voting share at the IMF or a seat at the United Nations Security Council. There must be just representation. Which brings us to takeaway number 4. The BRICS continues to push for de-dollarization. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Right now, most global trade is conducted via the US dollar, but BRICS is seeking alternatives. They want to move away from the US dollar. And how do you do that? A, by pursuing trade in local currencies like the rupee, the yuan and the ruble. And B, by creating a BRICS payment system. Think of it as a platform to make international payments, maybe from India to Russia, or from Iran to China, or from Brazil to Argentina. Right now, you need Western platforms to make such transactions. But the BRICS is pushing for an alternative. The leaders have assigned this job to finance ministers and central bank governors. They will together create the new platform. And finally, the 5th takeaway, the situation in West Asia. In his remarks, Prime Minister Modi spoke about the war in Gaza. Let me quote from what he said again. The humanitarian situation in Gaza is a cause of grave concern. India firmly believes that no matter how difficult the circumstances, the path of peace is the only option for the good of humanity. That's a very strong remark by the Indian Prime Minister. But here's the more interesting part. The BRICS joint statement condemns the attack on Iran. It calls the attack a violation of international law. Why is this interesting? Because New Delhi had not condemned the strikes on Iran. It merely noted the escalation and it called for talks. In the past, that's all that India did. When the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, condemned the strikes, India refused to join that statement. So clearly, New Delhi did not want to pick sides. It wanted to be neutral. But yesterday at the BRICS, where Iran is also a member, New Delhi did pick a side. We chose the side of international law and we condemned the strikes on Iran's nuclear sites. Which sums up Prime Minister Modi's day at BRICS. He used this platform to detail India's agenda, whether it's for global reforms or for global South leadership or against terrorism or against the wars in West Asia. In a divided world, India sought to create consensus. Amid chaos, India pushed for clarity.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka karj mo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Sekali radikali.
Japanese,
4兆ドル以上も
Portuguese,
por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.